Hello, and welcome back to another review regarding the Blood Clans of Jorikk. Today is a review about this time a single supplement. My previous review was about the first six that had already released, and I plan on now keeping on top of the entire line as it releases, and doing a review of each individual supplement from here on out. It also works better because those first six really create a nice introduction to the setting and the writing and the style that the Blood Clans of Jorikk setting aims to create. So this review is actually about a supplement that came out, I want to say maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks ago, maybe, possibly, called the Northern Markets Iron, Gold, Fur, Blood, and Ice. Now, this is a supplement that I actually think is really cool. I will say this right off the bat, it is definitely a very optional supplement. Not every GM, storyteller, DM, whatever, is going to find a lot of use for this book. However, for the couple of dollars that it is, I think it's definitely worth it to really really add an extra layer of depth to an already really well-defined, well-developed setting. And this book is, as the name implies, about the market system. And it does, I don't want to say it takes a brief look at economics, but it essentially begins to work in the actual ideas of supply and demand, and how that affects the pricing in a game mechanic sort of way for the price of your goods. And I think this is really cool because something that I've always noticed in a lot of games, and I did this too. Like up until this book, I'd never even crossed my mind that this is something that should be in a game, and something that after I read this book, I was like, that's actually really true. Like that kind of now bothers me in hindsight about all these things lacking, and that is this element of supply and demand should actually affect the price of weapons, armor, torches, food, what you can buy, all these things, and that's missing from a lot of games. A lot of games are just like, like 5 pounds of iron is 50 gold. Well, should it really though? Should it be 50 gold to buy 50 pounds of iron? Obviously, in a mining village right outside the iron mine. Should it also be 50 gold halfway around the world in some remote area who just so happens to have 50 pounds of iron? And it's that split that it bothers me in hindsight, and I personally plan on adding a lot of these elements to my games. Definitely thinking, how available is X resource? How, based upon, if I can, seasonal availabilities, trade agreements, things like that. And this book doesn't just stop there. It goes into, wolf pelts, bear pelts, ornamentation in the form of, heads, ears. Honestly, this book talks about everything that you would ever pretty much want to buy. Weapons are a little bit, I don't want to say left out. They're there, but they're definitely kind of more of standard weapons aren't really talked about too much. They do actually spend a lot of time talking about the dwarven made weapons. These very well crafted, very ornamented, just highly sought after weapons. And it does talk a lot about the dwarves and the relationship with the people who live near the Lake Jorikk. And so that's really where it also ties itself back into the setting, and not just being here's a supplement book about markets. It also interweaves is the word, a lot of the very Nordic style setting, with dwarven made weapons, obviously fish and wolf pelts and other headdresses being really important, and also how these things affect a market. And when you sell it to someone, X person, how do they deal with it? It actually talks about the economy of things like pelts and ears, and how you may not have any money, but say you killed 5 orcs on your way into town. Well, you could actually barter with those 5. Say you cut off all their ears, you could barter with those ears to the person, and then that person can take it to jarls or whoever, and then collect a reward off of them. And it talks about this entire economic system of the setting in regarding all these things. It even adds elements to it to make the setting definitely stand out a little bit more. As the very last thing on the title, the ice. It actually talks about how there is an ice market, that during the winter season they'll actually try and break up large chunks of ice from Lake Jorikk and actually ship them southward, into the other regions that aren't really covered in this setting, to show, to add yet again another element of that realism, that those people in the a desert region, they don't actually have ice and cold drinks readily available. They have to import their ice from somewhere. Well, this shows you where they import it from in this setting. So, my final thoughts on this are, this is a phenomenal supplement, if for no other reason than to get you as a storyteller thinking about whatever else you play. You may not even play Blood Clans of Jorikk, but I would encourage you to pick this up if you run games, because it has so many ideas, and I don't want to say so much a system, but it outlines a rough general systemless, it's not specific to any system, but a systemless system, that sounds weird, of economies and how they could easily be applied without having to have an econ major at your table, to simulate supply and demand. But it also adds that extra layer and gets you thinking about how does the economy work? What is the price of all these fish? What if my players do decide to start skinning wolves? Like, how much is a realistic amount to give them? And this book covers all of that. So if you're interested in adding an extra level of depth to your game, if you're interested in seeing more about the economy in the Blood Clans of Jorikk setting, or you just generally want to know what the price of wolf pelts are, just cuz, I encourage you to pick this up. It's, I think, like $3-4 max, and it is totally worth it. So I'll leave a link down below to where you can buy it. And if you do, leave me a comment, or if you've got questions or anything, leave comments down below. And until next time, take it easy.